Hello, folks. Welcome to the show. Always welcome. Always welcome. Do come again. Please subscribe because when you subscribe, you automatically can get here by just pressing on subscribe because he will give you entrance to my channel. So it doesn't cost you a penny, doesn't cost you a cent, doesn't even cost you a rupee. It's totally free. So there's no reason why you don't subscribe. And also, if you like, and always do the comments. See, once you subscribe, you can do comments on what's said, and you can be heard. Your own expressions can be heard. Can't do that with traditional media, can you? So please subscribe. What I want to talk to you today, and I've already spoken this morning, I did a long one, so I wasn't going to do another one today, but this was sent to me and I thought it was worth telling you about. Now, the basic text for this post I'm doing is borrowed from Andrew Tettenborn. Now, he's a professor of law at the Swansea Law School, so he knows what he's talking about, legally speaking. So what he said, and I'm going to use his text, nearly all of it his, but I will be doing alterations and little bits. On Sunday, this is what he said, the USA State Department unusually released a statement saying it was monitoring the case of Livia Tosinski-Bolt, who was charged after holding a sign saying "here to talk." Now, that's not quite right. She put "here to talk if you want." He missed off the "if you want," but that makes a very big exclusion. And she was She had this two A4 two sheets, and she was talking. She was offering this near an abortion centre. The business secretary, Jonathan Reynolds, this is the British government business secretary, denied this morning that free speech had been raised in trade talks with the USA that he'd been part of. Yet the Telegraph reports a source familiar with the negotiations believes there will be no free trade without free speech. Now, our Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, needs to think long and hard before claiming that he will not be bullied by the White House, and saying loftily that, if necessary, he's prepared to turn his back on Uncle Sam over this issue. If he does, this could well come back to bite him. Now, I'll add, it'll come back and bite us as well if he starts upsetting the trade negotiations with the USA. The first point is the most obvious. Donald Trump, or rather J.D. Vance, who originally raised the free speech issue, is right about the UK's backsliding on freedom of expression. This government is not simply indifferent to free speech, it is deeply suspicious of it. And the idea of allowing ordinary people to say what they think without careful regulation by the authorities frankly repels most Labour MPs. Moreover, one suspects most voters of the UK recognise this problem. The evidence is therefore all to see. Think Bridget Phillipson. She calculated the emasculation of the Higher Education Freedom of Speech Act. Ministers reportedly are set to clamp down on silent prayer outside abortion clinics, and the thinly disguised encouragement by government to come down hard on social media posts during Southport riots. So they're already proving that they are clamping down on our freedom of expression, our freedom of speech, and our freedom to post. Secondly, before shouting too loud about preserving UK's freedom from foreign interference in its internal affairs, our Prime Minister Keir Starmer could do worse than check some of his own party's pronouncements when they were in opposition. In 2022, his and then Shadow Trade Secretary Nick Thomas-Symonds pontificated that it was crucial that human rights, women's rights and workers' rights be embedded in our own negotiations with third world countries and access to our markets made conditional on the human rights. A year later, Labour's National Policy, this 2023 National Policy Forum document, Britain and the World, introduced by Annalise Dodds, demanded that our trade deals promote labour values around the world, including human rights, workers' rights, air quality and environment. So much for their consistency. When in opposition, fight for the rights to speak out. When in a government, stop rights, tread on them, flatten them. You know, it's frightening, isn't it, how they change. Thirdly, it's worth thinking for a moment about public relations. The USA position at least comes across as liberal and principled. As a matter of principle, we object to any pressure given to people, more freedom to speak their mind and or say what they really think, because we see it as dangerous. It is not political. Chat up line. I'm going to start that one again, sorry. Thirdly, it's worth thinking for a moment about public relations. The US position at least comes across as liberal and principled. As a matter of principle, we object to any pressure to give people more freedoms to speak their mind or say what they really think, because we see it as a dangerous. It is not good political chat-up line, except perhaps in Beijing or Tehran. Nor in this age of the internet is it an idea shared by many in the British establishment. The free speech merely allows people to say very bad things, and therefore companies which provide them a platform for expression need to be kept under strict control. Very wordy, but what he's saying is it's not a good image to show where we're stamping on people's freedom to express and to speak. And companies that allow it, like X, they're saying but not saying, need to be under strict state control. More to the point, however, Starmer could do with a dose of realpolitik here. Isn't the odd liberal concessions to free speech a price worth paying for something that will avoid further impoverishing our country? You know, standing up to Trump, I'm not going to allow any more freedom, will impoverish our country. Isn't it a concession he should give up? This is especially true when it regards the internet. What is it that the USA is seriously worried about? The views of the UK frankly don't matter. In deciding what kind of material they are prepared to host, US international behemoths might just take notice of the EU's Digital Services Act. At least that represents a market of a cool $500 million, whereas we are only 60 million. Nor is the long term for the Trumpian. This is getting rather convoluted and it's making it difficult to speak on it. This is especially true regards the internet. Well, I've just said, yeah. Nor in the long term for any of the trumpeting of Britain as the safest place to go online will our strict domestic controls on the net keep people very safe. Those with our cyber savvy, teenagers especially, are able to buy and run a VPN which will bypass any geographical restrictions. They're being advertised on the internet. I've seen it many times, and they don't cost that much money. Faced with the Great Britain's British firewall, they would do so in large numbers and buy this VPN, and moreover probably switch their attention to smaller, dodgier sites without even the scruples of Meta or X. In short, Keir Starmer would be well advised to face down an English establishment and some of his more authoritarian backbenchers and reach a pragmatic solution with the USA. It's certainly worth it economically. Trump won't be there forever, and Britons will be a tad more free for just a little while if one's looking for a hill to die. It's always advisable to choose it carefully. If Starmer selects this one, we need to have serious doubts about his judgment. Does he want to risk dying on the hill of sacrifice because he wants to keep the freedom of speech negated? We need we have a right to freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and Starmer is allowing it to be taken away from us. Laws are being enacted. The safe zones around abortion centres is one of them. The police coming round knocking on the door because you've done a post which someone has found disturbing. They don't have to prove it's disturbing, they just have to say it disturbed them. And this is a terrible, terrible law. It opens us up to silly litigations, stupid police calls, threatening us because we said something that someone heard. Everyone has a time when they can be hurt by what others say. Unless we develop a thick skin, we can't afford to allow thin-skinned people who are easily offended to dictate what is law. We've got to stand up. We've got to speak out. We've got to say no. No. Do you know, governments can't act. Dictators can't act if we all say no. Go to war? No. So I'm going to leave it at that. I've spoken enough, and and it's been a bit of a muddled one, this has, because it seems what this Professor Tetnall said was academic language which was hard for me to actually relate to. But the basis is Trump and his administration have said no free speech, no trade. Our government, Starmer, well, I'm not going to be bullied. Well, it's not bullying to say let us have free speech. It's a human right, Mr. Starmer, or Sir Keir Starmer. So until the next one, want your comments? Please let me have your comments. Please subscribe to the channel, and I'll try and make the next one more interestingly pronounced and presented. So until the next one, be safe, be good, and goodbye from me, and goodbye from him. From DJ out.